Welcome to Northumberland Zoo on YouTube. My name is Maxine and I work here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to show you a brand new project that we haven't announced or shown anybody yet. So let's head inside. Now, before we go diving into our shiny brand new exhibit, we're going to start back at the beginning, back in March when this project officially started. And that's when we had 5 giant trees delivered. And that was quite a task, getting them unloaded and put in the ground. In order to get these big trees in the ground, my dad had to dig some massive holes with his digger. And because we didn't have any equipment that could actually turn the trees sideways, we kind of had to rely on gravity to get the trees upright. Woo! Now you might ask, why is it that we're buying in these big trees and plonking them in the middle of an empty field? Well, due to this species and the escape risk, we didn't want the enclosure to be anywhere near any existing trees or habitats. So that's why we've had to create our own woodlands, and the best way to do that is to buy some really mature trees and start our own. The next part of the process was the fence panels arriving. Now this is the first time we've ever used fence panels, and these look really smart. They're already pre-painted black, so they're easy to see through and they're perfect for the species that we need them for. We had such a wet start to the year, so we had to wait until July before we could actually break ground on starting putting fence posts up and trying to figure out a way of putting the fence panels up. So they're all pre-painted and they're painted in black, so that means that you can kind of see through them. And they're quite thick. All of these rails that you can see sticking out the back, they're just temporary, just while the concrete sets in the base of the posts. Construction work began in mid-July on the public viewing area into this exhibit. Yeah, no, it looks good. Yeah?
Happy?
Yeah. Are you?
Ecstatic.
And then we started adding some big enclosure features that we've had waiting around for the perfect project. Now, I'm not gonna say what the species is just yet because you might be able to like have a bit of a guess. But this is where the public viewing area is going. So this is like a wildlife hide kind of thing. So it's not gonna have any doors on it, but there's gonna be loads of windows and viewing opportunities for looking into the enclosure. Now this enclosure is like one of our largest enclosures by footprint. It's quite an expanse. It goes all the way down there, all the way around the corner there. And the wildlife hide kind of like sits into the enclosure a little bit, so it kind of gives you uninterrupted viewing. And this is right up at the top of the zoo. So this is going to be like a dead end. This is right up at the top of the zoo. So there's the polytunnel there, and like the pigs is just beyond there. And we've got this, what's called prison mesh, which is incredibly difficult to work with because it's like super heavy, bendy panels that you can't get your fingers in. So it's just like a nightmare. We've got an overhang on the inside, which is 2 feet. So the animals contained, basically, they'll be able to potentially climb up here, but then this overhang will stop them from coming out. But this overhang's not done yet because we need to add a piece of dangly arco strip all the way around the inside. So if the animal climbs up here, climbs up there, it can't get hold of the arco strip and it comes back in the enclosure. So that's like the safest way to contain the species. But then you'll notice that on the top there's some hot wire elements that are pointing to the outside, and that's to stop animals coming in. So here we are. This is the main footprint of the enclosure. Got some rather large trees in here just now. Today is a particularly exciting day because we're getting more trees put in by an actual tree spade, which is super cool. I'm excited to see that. So we've already got one hole dug down here, which is patiently awaiting a tree. And here we go, just like it's on cue, there is the tree. Now these trees have been donated by Northumberland Burials, which is literally just up the road, right next to the airfield, because they've got a tree spade, which is super cool. So they've got these oak trees that they've been growing on for us this year, specifically kind of for this project. So they're going to plonk 5 of these in here, and the tree spade is just the coolest thing that you've ever seen. So we want to try and put as many kind of mature, biggest trees that we can in the middle of this enclosure, because we don't want to put them too close to the barriers, because then that means that there's going to be a jump risk. So basically the animals in this enclosure might be able to escape out because they can jump like 15 feet. So we're keeping everything within like 20 feet away from the barrier. So that's why this enclosure has to be so large, so that we can avoid that. So here comes an oak tree. This one looks lovely and lush. A couple of the trees that we installed probably about 5 or 6 months ago look a little bit sad, but they're okay. It's just been such a wet year that they've struggled a bit. But here comes Scott now. This is so cool. I've never actually seen this with my own eyes before. This looks really awkward as well. Maybe we probably should have waited to put these big rocks in before we got the trees in. Oh, look at the oak tree. It's amazing. He's got ear defenders on because his tractor is so noisy. There's a doggy in the cabin. So now that the tree's been put in place, the actual spade bits then pull out of the ground. There's 4, there's 1 on each corner. And the reason why this is such a benefit is because obviously, rather than like digging a tree up, it's nice to be able to take a chunk of soil that's around the tree and actually like the proper roots. So it's a really nice way of transplanting trees, but it's a canny bit of kit. I'm sure my dad would buy one if he had the opportunity. But this is a bit I'm interested about. I wonder how he gets the thing off. It must like release itself like a claw or something around the tree. Yep, there we go. How cool is that? What a cool thing. That is so exciting. Instant tree! So yeah, there's a huge benefit to doing it that way. It's a lot better for the trees, it's a lot less traumatic, and we've had to wait until like September, October, because that's the best time to move trees. So because Scott's bringing these trees down from the burial ground just over the road, what he's doing is, so that he doesn't just leave like a random hole where he's taking that oak tree out of, what he's going to do right now is he's going to nick a chunk of soil from where the next tree is going. He's going to take that soil up to the burial ground and then put that where that tree came from. And then that means he's backfilling all these holes. So it's a bit of to in and fro in, but it's still pretty cool how it's been done. So yeah, like the burial ground. So like, how does it work? Like, what do you do? Because I have no idea like how any of this works, and I don't really know a great deal about it.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't want to
know
about us until they need us.
Yeah.
Because death and dying isn't something you really want to talk about when you're living. But when it gets to that time in someone's life when they do die, it really can be a big comfort for them to discuss it with their families beforehand, and then have somewhere for the families to go afterwards, which is nice and relaxing, which I think our 40-acre Woodland burial ground is. We are part of the old RAF base, Ayrshire Airfield, and we planted 16,000 trees in 2001, which we started having coffin burials till 2022, where we built the crematorium facility on site. Now we have a chapel where we hold the services, and car parking facilities and toilets, and about 3 miles of short walks through our woodlands. And you can come and watch the aircraft taking off from the airfield. And we've just invested in a full-size Spitfire replica and have a Spitfire War Memorial now on the site. These trees were, I had a tree spade in a few years ago, and our trees were planted quite densely. So what I did was, these trees were actually inside the woodland when the woodland was about 8 years younger than it is now. So I pulled them out on the front, and then we were going to use them around the site, transplant them around. But these ones never got moved again in the project, but now they're getting overpowered by the bigger trees behind. And it is our line of burial area. We have some graves down the bottom there, which there will be graves up this line in time. So these trees are surplus to be given a new home, and I think a home for some red squirrels would be very fitting, because we've got lots of grey squirrels here but no reds, unfortunately. So I think the project of conserving the reds is well needed, and we're more than happy to donate our trees to the cause at Northumberland Zoo.
So there we have it. We're going to be welcoming a small group of red squirrels to Northumberland Zoo this autumn as part of a conservation and education initiative in partnership with the Wildlife Trust, as well as the Red Squirrel Captives to Book.
and we couldn't be more excited.
So I've just been up to the burial ground, and we've just got our second oak tree that's coming on down now. It's a little bit tight getting into the enclosure, it's a little bit unideal. That's so cool that it can do that.
For an old machine, it's got loads of flexibility.
Yeah,
If
that's
you've got
so
one
cool.
guy driving,
Yeah.
and one guy just walking here, you can get it anywhere.
Wow.
It's just literally when it's such a tight space.
This is so exciting. We're building a woodland. It's like naught to wood like that. Look at this instant tree. It looks amazing. I'm so excited. Right then, well that's 3 trees sorted for today, but Scott's just said he's like the A1 is super busy, so it's not ideal to be transporting trees up and down. So this is his last one, and then he's going to do the other ones early in the morning. But what a difference they make.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that news and that you're as excited as I am to welcome red squirrels to Northumberland Zoo. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you haven't done already, please do remember to like this video and subscribe to the zoo channel, and we shall see you soon.